Peace, peace. This is Brother Faheem, and you are now tuned in to the Lead with Logic podcast. You know the vibes. Peace, 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 peace. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is Brother Faheem, and you are now tuned in to another episode of Lead with Logic, where we take the controversial, the sensational, and the mundane, and through objectivity, right? Literature, books, peer-reviewed journals, articles, interviews, documentary clips. We now extract the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding so that you guys can live life in 3D and have your enlightenment enhanced. What's going on, good people? How y'all doing today, man? How y'all doing? Hopefully you guys didn't have a blue Monday. Hopefully it's feeling real good for y'all. Hopefully wherever y'all at, y'all are prosperous, paid, and have a plethora of peace, right? Man, so much going on, so much drama in the world, right? So much drama going on. You know, like I always tell y'all, man, the world moves at such a fast and ultramagnetic pace that I try to keep my boots laced because I always want to win the race. Who don't want to win the race, right? Who don't want to win it? Ooh, it's been so much over the airwaves, so much. And I've been kind of a little bit. I don't know if I want to say under the weather, but I definitely been down a little bit. I haven't been feeling myself these last few really months, but specifically, man, the last few days, it's been somewhat difficult for me. So that's why my lives have been a little short and not as eventful. But nonetheless, I am here for you guys. I am here. I'm here. I'm here. Listen, if you're on Facebook, man, repost, send it to a friend so y'all can tap in. If you're on YouTube, copy the link, send it to a friend, and tap in and tune in. Y'all come on in, man. We're gonna get this thing going. We're gonna get this started. We're gonna get right to it. Carmelo Anthony, and we're not talking about the former New York Knick. We are talking about the 17-year-old who in Frisco, Texas, which is, I want to say, a suburb of Dallas, has gotten himself in a little bit of a pickle. There's been a little bit to go on. It's been all over the news. It's been everywhere. It's been everywhere. So I'm sure you guys know about it. You'd have to have been up under a rock not to hear about it. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about a couple of things, right? In America, man, we understand, those of us who have lived here, those of us who know how to read history, those of us who recognize this culture, we understand what happens in America. And we know that in the judicial system, if you are melanated, if you are black in America, then there's a high probability that you will get no justice at all. You will get no justice. And so, yeah, y'all come on in. Welcome, welcome. So we are army of three, and that, hey, maybe that's the way it's got to be. Y'all invite your people, man. Bring your people. But you understand the scenery and what the outlook is in America as far as how justice goes and flows for black people. And so, you know, OJ Simpson, I always tell people that OJ Simpson is the case. When OJ Simpson's case transpired, that was the case that really, not only nationally but globally, since he was such a global icon, it really exposed and emphasized the fissure, the crack that's in America. There have been things that happened before, right? You had the Rodney King, you had Latasha Harlins, right? We know about these things. And then even further back, you had Emmett Till. You had a lot of things. Hell, even as of recent, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice. You look those guys up, at least Tamir Rice, if you're not familiar. We see these things, but when we saw this celebrity in the 90s, when we saw this celebrity be taken to trial in the way he was taken, that was one thing. But the reaction and the response from the American people, right, on both sides, black people and white people, the response was telling. It was telling. And that was rejuvenated and revised, brothers and sisters. When he died, we saw OJ Simpson. We saw all of those feelings. We saw all of that animus and animosity. It came right back, didn't it? It happened again. People got right back up in odds. People got right back to fight. And I did a build on it because and I want you guys, I challenge you guys to go watch the bill. But what it emphasized was our true personality in America when it comes to racial issues, right? Three things that will always sell in America: violence, sex, and racism. Those three things will always sell. You can never go wrong if you have a product and you figure out a way to tap into those intangibles. Your product's going to sell. But we saw what OJ did for us was he pulled the covers back of our true character when it comes to race in America and the judicial system, right? He showed that there's a clear line. There's a clear line that exists between the black community and the white community, and how we interpret and engage and understand what justice is and what it means. So, with that in mind, with what I've been observing, with what I've been viewing, with everything, with all the hoopla, I decided to call this bill The Ghost of O.J. Simpson, the peculiar case of Karmelo Anthony, Karmelo with a K. We're gonna pull up some stuff. I like to go to things. I like to show you guys. Reading is fundamental, y'all. We don't do it enough. I know a lot of times we don't have time, but man, it's so good for the mind. It is so good. It strengthens your mind. Is not no more than a muscle. It's the strongest muscle that you got, actually. So let's look at let's look at what's been happening. Let's see what the news outlets are printing, what they're saying. Like I said, by the way, you guys come on in. And when you get a chance, head on over to www.leadwithlogic7.com. Again, that's www.leadwithlogic7.com. Make sure that you patronize your brother. We got hoodies, hats, and tees, whatever you please. It's all over there, y'all. Come on, man. Get behind the movement. Like I say, it's a very great movement, and it means something. It's an acronym that has depth and meaning. Letting enlightenment and divinity win in this harsh level movement. LegalLogic7.com. Y'all going over there. So let's check out what's going on, man. Before I get into the video, I want to give you guys the literature. All right, all right. So this is a Fox 4. This is a Fox 4 article. Karmelo Anthony moved to undisclosed location to ensure his safety, family reps say. Now, this was today. This was today at 12:09 p.m., right? This is what they were saying. And so, yeah, here's a little bit of the brief, what it says, right? It says a Dallas civil rights group says, put that up just a little bit, just a tad. A Dallas civil rights group says Karmelo Anthony was moved to an undisclosed location for safety after his family received threats and was harassed over the weekend. This is all current. Karmelo Anthony, I'm just reading this before we go into the backstory. Karmelo Anthony, 17, was arrested on April 2nd after a fatal stabbing at Frisco ISD track meet. Austin Metcalf, 17, stabbed in the chest and died. And that's what we've been seeing, right? And he's charged with murder and the death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Metcalf was stabbed and killed at a track meet on April 2nd. Anthony, also 17, was released from jail and placed on house arrest after his bond was reduced from $1 million to $250,000. A lot of people had a problem with that. It's been a lot of chatter going on. It's been a whole lot of chatter going on about this case. And it's crazy, man, what we are seeing. What we're seeing and who we're hearing. That's surprising. What we're seeing and who we're hearing. but I wanna go down because that's dealing with his family being harassed. That's dealing with his family. Forgive me, y'all. People calling. I'm doing my show. uh, Somebody wrote, "It is both heartbreaking and infuriating to see the depths of hate and bigotry still alive and well in our society," says Minister Dominique Alexander, president of the Next Generation Action Network. "No family should have to live under siege simply because they are demanding their constitutional rights. We will not be silent and we will not back down. We are committed to doing whatever is necessary to protect this family and to ensure that justice is pursued without any intimidation or fear." This is I'm just going down. This is an article, you guys, right? I'm gonna get down because it's gonna give us the brief. It's gonna give us the uh the specifics of the case. This is just extra. This is something that happened today. Rally held at Kai Kai Kendall Stadium. Pause. Kai Kendall Stadium is actually where the stabbing took place, right? That should clarify a whole lot of misinformation that was put out there. I should say disinformation, because what they're telling you is that this happened on school grounds. Actually, it did not. This happened on a sports complex ground. This was not a school, because what people are saying, or what the mainstream is reporting, is this guy had a knife. Why did he bring a knife to the school, right? What was it that he needed to bring a knife for? Him bringing a knife to the school, that automatically warrants that he get some time. It wasn't at a school, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It was actually at a stadium. This is what it is. But nonetheless, this is talking about a small group of people gathered at Kai Kendall Stadium in Frisco on Saturday, right? The rally was organized by Jake Lang of Florida, who was previously charged in the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Wow. Look at that. Will you look at that? We got some MAGA supporters there. Okay. There was a rally held at Kai Kendall Stadium parking lot in Frisco on Saturday at 11 a.m. According to the Frisco Police Department, two people were arrested during the event. Video provided to Fox 4 shows an apparent clash between protesters and counter protesters. One of the people arrested is accused of pepper spraying another person at the event. City officials say that the people who attended didn't appear to be from Frisco. So external people are coming in, causing problems. We've seen that before, right? So they talked, the rep talked about it, said they were Jake Lane. Here we go. You know what? Let's do this. Let's see if this will play.
Frisco. Good evening, everybody. I'm Casey Stiegel. Private funeral services were held today for the teen student athlete who was stabbed to death at a school track meet earlier this month. 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed back on April 2nd. A teen student from another school has been charged with his murder. The crime has been thrust into the national spotlight, bringing some controversies along with it. On Monday, the alleged killer will make his first appearance before a judge. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is following all of the developments for us tonight. She joins us live courthouse where that hearing will happen. Amelia.
Hi there, Casey. At Monday's hearing, we expect Carmelo Anthony's lawyers to ask for a bond reduction so he can get out of jail. But today in Frisco, the focus was on comforting the friends and family of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf.
That didn't tell. I want to get a backstory. They just talked a little bit. That was the bond hearing. I presume it's an hour long. I'm not going to play that, but it did give a brief overview. But this is the backstory. Austin Metcalf, a 17-year-old junior at Memorial High School in Frisco, was killed at a UIL District 11-5A track meet at Kai Kendall Stadium on April 2nd. Police said a student from Centennial High School in Frisco, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, stabbed Metcalf in the chest during a fight. An arrest report said that Anthony told a school resource officer that Metcalf put his hands on him. After the officer mentioned to others that he had the alleged suspect in custody, the report states Anthony said, "I'm not alleged, I did it." The 17-year-old accused of fatally stabbing a Frisco student athlete during a track meet allegedly admitted to the crime. He also asked officers if his actions could be considered self defense, according to a newly released arrest report. The report states Anthony also asked officers, "Is he going to be okay?" And he asked if what happened, asked if what happened could be considered self defense. Witnesses told police that Anthony was sitting under the Memorial High School tent and was told to leave. Anthony allegedly told Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens," according to an arrest warrant affidavit. One witness told police that Metcalf then pushed Anthony to get him out of the tent, and he then reached into a bag and stabbed Metcalf. So that is one of the reports. Now, what's funny here is, you know, how people frame things has a lot to do with how people receive things, right? And how things are interpreted. There's a such thing as a framework. And what is a framework? You know, it's how something is presented to the viewer. For instance, when Katrina happened, there were reports in New Orleans of the same instance, but it was framed differently. There was a same instance. This is how one outlet reported it. Man pillages through rummage, seeking to steal goods, right? Another outlet reported the same instance like this. Father desperately treads through rummaged or pillaged or ruined uh, uh, um, a land, desperately searching for food for his family. Now, if you only took that first image, if you only took that first description, you would think that this was a thief. You would think that this was a person who was out up to no good, that was doing something that they had no business. But now, if you took the other one, you say, oh, we get a lot more context, right? We get a father who's out searching through a rumble land trying to help his family. So that's narrative. What am I telling y'all? Keep that in mind when you're reading and you're listening to these outlets, especially the political ones, right? On the right and the left. They will most always shape it and frame it through the lens of whatever their political affiliated party is. And that's not always the truth. It might not necessarily be wrong because one of them might have an agenda. One of them might side or lean toward, the side of the unjust or the side of the just. But it typically will be framed through whatever that leaning is, if that makes sense. Now, I wanted to bring that up because oftentimes when you read things, you have to say to yourself, uh, is this the story in context, or is this somebody reframing this? Is this a reinterpretation because they're trying to misinform or disinform someone, right? So yeah, that I thought it was very, and this is how my mind works. Before I read anything, before I get all of any facts, the first thing I'm doing is, okay, let me pay attention. Let me look, listen, and observe first and foremost to what's being said, because I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind, brothers and sisters, when I actually do the fact finding, when I'm digging up, looking for the objective data of the circumstance. So you saw in there where they put hey, he stabbed him. He was he they didn't mention that it was raining. They didn't mention the weather was inclement. They didn't mention a lot of things, right? They didn't tell us who he was. They just said this kid stabbed the kid, he died, and then he said, I did it. Could this be used as self-defense? There are a lot of holes in that. There are a lot of pieces of information that are missing. and you have to have the sense, right? The wherewithal, like they used to say. You have to have the wherewithal now to be able to say, it's on me to figure out what the holes are, because that's where the justice is. So I'm gonna bring up another article, and I want to bring it up. It's the same, they're talking about the same thing, but it's framed differently. And that all means something, right? Because oftentimes these people who are going on these tangents, right? A lot of times they're framing it due to their belief. They're framing it, they're giving it a narrative due to whichever way they lean. He was a murderer, he was a killer, it was justified, it was unjustified. Very uh not very often will people now, you know, paint a narrative or give the information strictly from the facts, right? Truth, somebody told me, truth don't need no friends and it don't need to be defended, right? So there's another one. Now, this, I think I told you guys on several occasions, whenever I'm dealing with anything that I'm not an expert in, I like to get the expertise of a person who is. This says Karmelo Anthony case, self-defense explained by criminal defense attorney. And this is in News Nation. Now, let's, let's, let's examine this just a little bit better. Get it up there, because even with these glasses, it's still it's still small. So it says suspect asks officers if incident could be self-defense. Lawyer says appropriate force will have to be determined. Dershowitz, jury selection determines outcome of case. So these are the primary objectives. These are the bullet points that they're going to break down. And I think they're pretty solid and legitimate bullet points, right? Lawyer says appropriate force. I'm going to read you guys something a little bit later. Will have to be determined, right? Dershowitz, jury selection determines outcome of case. So this was on April 17th. Karmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old accused of fatally stabbing another student, Austin Metcalf, at a track meet, could try to use self-defense at the reasoning behind the stabbing, and has been charged in the stabbing death of Metcalf following a verbal dispute at a high school track meet in Texas. During an argument between the two teams, so we get a little bit more information, right? During the argument between the two teams, Anthony allegedly pulled out a knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. Metcalf died in the arms of his twin brother. Well, at least they put allegedly, right? Can Karmelo Anthony case be considered self-defense? Anthony was taken into custody and reportedly asked officers if the incident could be seen as self-defense. Criminal defense attorney Mark O'Mara and lawyer Alan Dershowitz joined Kumo on Monday to discuss the case. This is definitely a self-defense case, because it always is until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two, right? O'Mara told Kumo. However, O'Mara did say that you will have to see if Anthony used appropriate force, and if he felt like he was in imminent fear of great bodily injury. You know, I'm going to stop right here and say this. You know, from the reports that I saw from the people, from Austin Metcalf's mother, from his twin brother, from the police report, Austin Metcalf did put his hands on Karmelo Anthony, right? He did absolutely put his hands on him. Now, it's going to come out. It'll come out in the wash. It'll come out in the trial to what degree. But we do know, they have been reported that he did put his hands on him. That's battery. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, did you guys know that assault and battery are two different things? Did you know that if I threaten you, if I put my hand in your face, that's assault? Battery is when I actually hit you. So if you tell someone, you got to know the law, brothers and sisters. If you tell someone, hey, I'm going to whoop your ass, that's assault. A threat, that is assault. It becomes battery when you actually put your hands on them in the eyes of the law. Now, there are different degrees, right? You have escalation, right? You have escalation, which is when people are fighting and someone now escalates it to the fatal place, to the fatal plane where someone gets killed, right? You have stand your ground, you have castle doctrine, you have all these different things, right, that exist when you're talking about self defense. But we understand that Mr. Metcalf, the young brother, the young man, the deceased Austin Metcalf, the young man, he did put his hands on Carmelo Anthony, right? So, but the appropriate force. But now, this is what I wanted to read. This is what I thought was interesting because a lot of people have been saying things like it's been made racial. People are saying this thing has been made racial. Why are black people making this racial? Why are, this is not a racial thing? And the father, I want to say the father of Alex Metcalf, when he commented on it, he said, I don't think it's a racial thing. I just think it's a thing of right or wrong. And, it's just something unfortunate. And I want to say that Carmelo Anthony's father said something of the same. I know he was at least very, very remorseful or very, very compassionate toward the young man and the deceased Mr. Metcalf and his family. But now, the people whom I have observed and listened to say that this thing is racial, I think they're conflating the issue here. you know, we live in America where everything is racial. We live in America where everything is racial. And so, no side, white or black, it could have been the white people because a lot of times I see a lot with this particular instance, I see a lot of people stepping up within the black community, speaking out against the black community. Hey, why are you guys making this thing racial? This is not a racial issue. Yes, it is. What's racial is, again, people will side culturally with they will identify with their race. Let's not act like people don't. They do all the time. They do. And what I'm getting ready to read proves it. The lawyer said this: we live in a society where everything is judged by race. Dershowitz said, let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race conscious society. He said, at the end of the day, who is selected for the jury will determine the outcome of Anthony's case. I was talking with a brother over the weekend and we were talking about this thing, going back and forth about it. And the brother was saying that he didn't think that and I went back and forth. I listened to Judge Joe Brown talk about his thoughts, right? Because I like to listen to legal beagles when it's a legal problem. I like to listen to the experts to get a greater understanding. He was saying how Carmelo shouldn't have said anything to the police, right? And Judge Joe was saying that he really didn't have a leg to stand on with self-defense because he even went as far as to say he was trespassing. Now, I can't say I agree with the judge on that because we don't know if it was a established policy that athletes, and Carmelo Anthony was the captain of the track team, might I add. We don't know that it was an established policy that during a severe thunderstorm, during inclement weather, that students could not now get shelter and cover wherever they could. We don't know if that's if that's established or not. But nonetheless, the brother was saying how he's not going to get away with this scot free. He said that he thought that Carmelo was going to get something. And I said, well, he might, but it won't be for that reason. It won't be for the reason of justice, right? It'll simply be for the reason of race, right? Because this is a racial society and the culture of this society draws those lines. We learned that with OJ Simpson. We learned that with George Floyd. We learned that with Trayvon Martin. We learned that with so many other instances. So why would this instance be any different? And also, brothers and sisters, like I said, like I explained, framework. The media is an arm I'm gonna say this: the media is an arm of white supremacy. Why do I say that? Why you say that, brother Faheem? Because black people, by and large, collectively, we don't own media outlets. We don't control the news. We don't choose and decide what you see. We are blessed now that we have outlets like YouTube, that we have outlets like Twitch, that we have outlets like X. And even these outlets are monitored, right? And are censored to a degree. But why do I say that? Because again, how they're framing it, what they're saying, the verbiage that they're using, right? They're calling this kid a murderer. They're calling this kid a villain. This kid he has yet to have his due process. He has yet to have his due process. He hasn't gone to trial. So you can't say he's anything because guess what? Your ass don't know. You don't know. And listen, they're still having hearings. They're going to be having arraignments. You don't even know the full facts of the case yet. You don't know the deep facts. That's mine. You thank you. You don't know the deep facts of the case yet for you to say anything. So to my brothers and sisters, to my American family, to the world, you know, when you start thinking that any one group has made anything in America racial, you need to do some research and read some history because this country, uh, racism is as American as apple pie. And, you might be shown black people. In this instance, you might be shown black people raising their voices, but I guarantee you, as you read history, you will see white folks and other people who were as guilty as sin, supportive of the oppression and the murder and the slaughtering of innocent people, not just innocent black people, right? And it was just as racial. So don't point at black people and now say, why y'all making it racial? Don't never hate the player, hate the mayor, because he makes the rules. We just play by him. So if we did make it racial, so what? It's been made racial with several other things. Go read. Show and prove. Prove me wrong. But nonetheless, I thought that was important. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. Let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race conscious society. He said at the end of the day, who is selected for the jury will determine the outcome of Anthony's case. What do they say? A jury of your peers. Going back to OJ Simpson, that helped OJ. Remember now, when you look at that OJ trial, he had some black folks on that trial. He had some black folks on that jury, some black women. Marsha Clark thought that the black women in the jury box were gonna be upset because OJ had distanced himself from the black community. She didn't realize that the animus, the resentment, and the bitterness that those sisters felt for the judicial system and for the racist culture of America trumped whatever problem that they had for OJ. And now, that's not to say that they were unjust, because when you listen to them, if y'all go back and watch the interviews, they said they just did a shitty job of proving OJ did it. And in fact, it was a lot of racism involved in that. Mark Furman, right? A lot of the crime scene forensic people were incompetent. But nonetheless, I say all that to say it absolutely made a difference, because when you look at years and years of trial injustices within the judicial system, when you look at the killers of Emmett Till, when you look at Medgar Evers, when you look at all of these people, these black people who were innocently slaughtered, and you look on the jury box, in the jury box at the people who were expected to judge the killers, it was mostly white people. And then when you look at black people, right? When you look at people who were trying to get justice and you look in that same jury box, most times, if not all times, it's all white people. So this is not anything made up. This is just an observation, right? This is merely an observation. Listen, let me Collin County District Greg Woods told News Nation's Chris Como his office hadn't received the case yet, but vowed to follow the truth wherever it leads. I love it. Follow the truth, brothers and sisters, wherever it leads. People are upset, and rightfully so, Willis said. We've lost a young life, and the pain is real. Absolutely. Absolutely. Willis added, this is a heartbreaking case, but even in heartbreak, we have a responsibility to do the right thing and in the right way. And my office will do that. If that ain't leading with logic, I don't know what it is. See, to lead with logic is to put your emotions aside and let that logic come up, right? That's why everybody couldn't be no judge, because a lot of us would allow our emotions to get in the way and interfere with justice. And that's, that's the American way. That's the American way. Karmelo Anthony's bond reduced significantly. Well, you know what? I'm gonna show y'all that. I'm glad y'all here. Listen. Thank you. Welcome. I want to say welcome to the five of y'all, whoever you are, wherever you are. I appreciate you being here. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you right here with Brother Faheem right here, right now on the Lead with Logic podcast. Listen, go on over to www.leadwithlogic7.com, www.leadwithlogic7.com. We got hats, hoodies, and tees, and whatever else you please. Yeah, man, we got different designs. This is my NOI design. We got the hats, right? I had to go head on, man, and wear my reading glass. I rarely ever wear these things, man. But they asked me what style I wanted. Come on, man. You know what style I want. Come on, man. I got to get with El Haj Malik. I want the glasses that he had. You dig? But so we're gonna go into this next one. I'm gonna show y'all we got some video footage for you guys. Peace. Okay, we got it's five of us in here. Listen, but only two of us have spoken. So that means four of y'all, you know what I mean? We got four more. Well, two include me. So really one of y'all. So four of y'all, man, say what's up, man. Tell me who you are so I can shout you out where you at. You know what I mean? I appreciate you being here. Like I said, man, if you're on YouTube, you got the link. Please forward the link to 50 of your friends. If you're on Facebook, repost this thing 50 times so we can get some people in here and we can get some new and fresh minds. You dig what I'm saying? Brother Faheem, and I'm so grateful to be your host and to be in front of you guys right here, right now. So we just talking about Karmelo Anthony, man. So far we went over the case. We went over what's going on, what's happening. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of video, some videos that I want to show you guys, some things that I want y'all to remember. They had the bond hearing that pissed a lot of people off, right? Because his bond was $1 million, and then they lowered it to 250. Initially, they asked for 150, but they bumped it back up. Now, a lot of people online have been using that as justification as to how racism and injustice has been moving toward this young man. First of all, let's talk about this. Karmelo Anthony was a AB student, right? He had 2 jobs, which one of his supervisors showed up to his hearing, for his bond hearing. His football coach showed up to his bond hearing. Captain of the football and the track team, right? That also adds context, brothers and sisters. He was the captain of the track team. Remember when his first hit, they just said he just walked up in there. Nah, he was there because he was there with his squad. But now, back to my point. You know, when you talk about bond is ensuring public safety and court compliance. That's why bonds are made. You know, they set high bonds and keep people in jail because they figure you're either a flight risk or you might repeat, right? They don't want anything to happen. They want to make sure that you show up and that you're not going to leave the country or something like that, especially if you're a repeat offender or depending on what the crime is. This is a minor with previous no previous criminal record, right? Listen, the DA said this. Well, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all see what the DA said at this bond hearing. I'm not gonna say it. I want y'all to see it. We're gonna get into that Missouri lifestyle. You know, I can show you better than I can tell you. I thought this was crazy. Yeah, I thought this was crazy. I'm gonna pull it right on up. Y'all heard just a little bit of it. All right, here we go. Now, these are two journalists that you're looking at, right? These are two journalists who reported they were actually inside of the bond hearing, right? So they were there. They got to see the culture of the courtroom. They got to see the reactions and the responses of not only uh Karmelo Anthony, of the judge, of both the families, right? They reported on all of that, right? Inside the hearing, a reporter's debrief on what happened inside Karmelo Anthony hearing. Now we're talking about that hearing. I wanted y'all to see what they said was stated in regards to the bond and it being lowered. Watch this.
He meets with his lawyer. That all has to be approved ahead of time by the court. They have to be aware of his whereabouts at all times, and an adult has to be with him at all times as well. And something else that Judge Tucker, Angela Tucker, mentioned, because we heard the DA's office say that the bond should impact the quality of life lost. That was the argument that came from the DA's office. And Judge Tucker, before she gave her ruling, she stated that she disagreed because she said that, one, that's not the law. And she also mentioned that there's no replacement for a life loss. Right. And that also went behind some of her decision.
That was the state's argument, right? Like the bond amount should reflect the loss of life. And she shut that down very quickly. She's like, that is not a bond factor. And so that's why it gets reduced to $250,000.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, onlookers who are watching this case closely, might want to look at this particular hearing as part of the trial. But the judge reiterated many times this was about bond, and they're only trying to ensure A, that he returns for those court dates, and B, that there is no threat to the public. Any defendant is going to be entitled to some kind of bond if those factors are met. Did you notice?
Hey, man. When I saw that, I was like, that's a damn shame. But again, that's for people who don't know what bond is about. Bond is, this is about flight risk. This is about court compliance. That's it. But again, like the man said, a lot of onlookers being, this is Brother Faheem, being emotional, want that to be a part of the trial. And again, brothers and sisters, you guys out there saying that they making this shit racial. No. America is doing what it does. If anybody's making it racial, it's the media and the way they're reporting it, the verbiage, what they're saying, right? They're pushing people to think he doesn't even deserve a fair bond, no less a trial. He don't even deserve to get what any other person up under the Constitution deserves to get. We talking about a minor, y'all. We talking about a minor. Whatever you think, however you feel about whatever happened, guess what? You don't know yet. You don't know. And you're going to allow your emotions to have your ass on the wrong side of history. But you heard the sister said, the DA said, hey, the bond amount should reflect the quality of life lost. And the judge said, nope, that's not a bond factor. So you see right there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, they're already trying to skip out on justice. That's the DA's office. That's the DA. I said I was going to read something to y'all, right? I like getting in the weeds. I like getting in the books. I don't like just videos alone. Videos are cool. I know we can get a little bit lackadaisical, man, as a society. You know, we like to see stuff. I can't just watch shit all day. I'm getting old. My eyes got tired. Y'all can't look at that blue screen all day, man. Y'all get off them damn phones all day and rest your eyes. If you're in front of a computer, take a 15-minute break. Go read something. This book, I bought this book for like $2 one day at the bookstore. I saw it and I was like, you know what? Because I'm always teaching my children to defend themselves. I'm always teaching people to defend themselves. So yes, you know, if it's your Second Amendment right to carry a weapon, and I absolutely advocate and support that. The law of self-defense principles. The law of self-defense principles. Half-price books in your communities, y'all. They have all these type of books. Or you go to a library book sale. They still have them. You can get your favorite titles for maybe as low as $0.25. But I paid $2 for this. But I wanted to read something to you guys out of this thing, right? Escalation. It talks about escalation. Escalation occurs when someone in the fight escalates what was a non-deadly force fight into a deadly force fight. There are two ways that the escalation can affect the element of innocence. The first is if you who escalate the fight, if you escalate the fight, this can cause you to lose the cause of innocence, the element of innocence, right? So if you're in a fight and it's non-deadly, it can be escalated, right? And you escalate it, it's non-deadly, then you can't say it was self-defense because you guys were already in combat, right? You were already fighting. And therefore the self-defense, therefore you lose self-defense. The second is if the other guy escalates the fight, this can cause you to lose your innocence. If you're somehow managed to lose it. So those are the two instances where you can lose. Hold on. The second is if the other guy escalates the fight. This can cause you to regain your innocence if you somehow manage to lose it. That's what it's saying. So if the other person starts the fight, then you gain that self-defense. But if you're all already fighting and you escalate the deadly force, then you lose it, right? As simple as that. That's what, remember I said earlier that Judge Joe Brown was saying that he thought that the boy was going to have to deal with trespassing. He was also going to have to prove that it was actually self-defense and that he believed that he escalated. Peace, welcome on in. I appreciate y'all coming on in. It's 9 of y'all in here. That's what it is. That's what's up. Physical force alone. If there are non-provocative words uttered, so you're limiting your consideration solely to actions, then it's the first person to use or threaten physical force who is the initial aggressor in the fight. This is not necessarily the person who fired the first shot or who attacked or who threw or who struck the first blow. You are not required to let your attacker go first before you can defend yourself, right? If you strike first, you will need to have a well-articulated explanation for why it is necessary to do so. That is physical force alone, right? And I know I skipped over a little bit of it, but I just wanted to show and kind of read what escalation was, because that's what people had said, or at least what I heard. Judge Joe Brown say that the young brother was going to have to defend himself. That's how he was going to have to defend himself, right? He was going to have to look and prove, and like the gentleman said before time, hey, um, the jury's going to play a part in it as well. 86 Fades, peace, bro. Peace, 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 peace. I see you. Peace, peace. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Man, we just dealing with this Carmelo Anthony and whatever. Hey, listen, news tapped in. Okay, I see you. I see you. Salute, salute. Hey, man, whatever comments or questions or statements that y'all have, please put them in there. Like I say, man, it's 6 of y'all in here. Please, please, please send this out to 60 of your friends. Repost it. If you're in Facebook, man, repost it again and again. Send it in the DM to the people. Get them involved. Let's get some people in here. But yeah, I just showed y'all the bond hearing, right? we saw the bond hearing and how the DA said, you know, they didn't want it. They didn't want it lowered. Eddie Davis, peace and love. What's going on, Ed? I see you, brother. Peace, peace. They didn't want the bond lowered. And the judge had to quickly remind, hey, listen, that's not a factor in bond, because not only they don't have a video of the event, but what they do have is 2 journalists describing the event. Yeah, if you go to YouTube and type in "inside the hearing," a reporter's debrief on what happened inside the Carmelo Anthony hearing. It's a guy interviewing 2 journalists, a male and a female, and they're describing what was said. They're describing the feeling, the undertone in the courtroom when he got the bond. And he also talks about, this bond thing. What he has to do. He has to check in every Friday. He can't leave his home. I mean, obviously, it's better than being in a box. And the judge said that you can either be at home or you can be in a box, right? But it kind of just describes and goes over, let me put it in the chat if I can. I'll put it in the chat for you, bro. Let me see how that works. There it is right there. I put it in the chat. You copy and paste that. And you put it in your search engine, man. Put it in a tab and it'll pop right up. That's it right there. But yeah. But that's one thing, man. That bond hearing, right? That hearing and what was going on. A lot of people have attached that. And the guy said that a lot of onlookers want to attach the bond to the trial when that's not how the law works. Everybody gets the same under the Constitution. Everybody gets due process. This young man is no different. He's no different, right? And if he is who they say he is, right? If he is who they've investigated him, and that's why they did that, because he's not a bad guy and he's not a flight risk, right? This is this young man's first instance. Now, people were talking about him online throwing up allegedly what looked like could be gang signs or, him looking thuggish. And he might have. I'm here to say he probably did. A lot of young Black people have done that. The late, great Paul Mooney said something that I would like you guys to remember. He said, if I run out on the corner and holler, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. If I run out and everybody passing by, I say, I'm going to kill, I'm going to kill, I'm going to kill you. Does that make me a murderer, though? It don't make me a murderer. It just make me somebody who's outside talking loud, making threats, right? So I say that to say there have been a lot of young people, Black and white, whatever, melanated, non-melanated, whatever they are, and they have gone online and put up stupid things, right? What it reminds me of right off the bat is I remember Derrick Rose, right? Y'all remember that photo of Derrick Rose, Carmelo Anthony with the stop snitching, Ja Morant, a lot of these young people, right, doing ignorant things, and they are that does not mean that they are hard criminals. That does not mean that they are gang members. It means none of that. It just means that they might be emphasizing or even pointing to an aspect of the culture that they might not should point to, or it's a very undesirable. But there again, The mainstream media. I could even make a case with that. The mainstream media. Like 50 said, America got a thing for this gangster stuff. They love me. They put that in front of us. They put these images. They sell. They advocate the degeneracy, the degeneracy of the culture, right? And then when we partake in it, they use that against us. And I'm not advocating for it because I don't advocate that ignorant. You know what I'm saying? I don't advocate that ignorant shit. I tell my children to stay away from that shit, and I tell other kids that I see and talk to, that's not it, man. That's not it. That's not it at all. So, yeah, man. He says, yeah, I was talking about the stabbing. I wasn't sure exactly what happened. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Karmelo Anthony, man. Karmelo Anthony down in Frisco, suburb of Dallas. He stabbed a guy at the Sportsplex because it got physical. And there have been there's been nothing definite. We've only gotten police reports. There have been no investigations, nothing like that done. So all of that stuff has to happen, right? Probably over the course of the next 6-7 months before the trial, they're going to do all of this stuff. So then you'll get a whole bunch of actual facts. You'll get more witnesses. I remember I was listening to something one night. I was listening to Star, and it was a tape of a brother who said that they tried to jump him. This is alleged, right? I don't know how true this is, but the brother said not only did Austin, the guy who was killed, the young man who was killed, but his brother, his twin brother, they both, uh, walked up to Carmelo Anthony. It wasn't just, one, it was both of them. And he was just standing outside. He was standing out there trying to take cover, you know. So we'll find out the full breadth, the full 360-degree circle of what's going on. We'll figure it out within the next months as time goes by, right? But yeah, now I'm gonna play. I want you guys to see some stuff, some things. I talked about, one thing that I didn't play for you in the courtroom. They said when they had the hearing for the bond, what kept coming up was the GoFundMe, because allegedly the family raised so much money. They were taking trips. They were doing all these lavish things as if they were not really taking serious this whole proceeding, this whole, instance, what's going on, this deep, deep, deep unfortunate and misfortune that has now come upon their family. Yeah. And so I want to show you guys something, a report that I found, another report that was yet interesting. Very interesting. So this is a news clip dealing with all the disinformation and misinformation that people have been getting about this case since it has first hit the airwaves. I want you guys to pay attention.
Uncovering the truth behind what has been a surge of misinformation. It has swept through Frisco following the stabbing. As the news spread, so did a wave of, in some cases, fake reports and false claims, and it's caused confusion and even fear. I-Team reporter Brian New tonight working on that side, investigating what's behind what is, Brian, a wildfire of disinformation, live tonight at the ISD headquarters. But what happened here is awful enough, and then all of this behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Doug, you're on social media, so you've seen how quickly misinformation can spread. But what set this case apart was the sheer volume of fabricated content. We've seen fake autopsy reports, we've seen fake police reports. And all of this comes at a time that Facebook and Instagram made major changes to their platforms and got rid of fact checkers.
Police had barely begun its investigation inside the high school stadium when online, the fire of disinformation was raging. High-profile X accounts, including In Wokeness and Libs of TikTok, amplified the incident within hours, claiming the story received zero national outrage and that it didn't fit the narrative. These two posts combined have received nearly 50 million views. Shortly after, a fake X account posing as the Frisco police chief began spreading fabricated details about the investigation. The next day, a fake autopsy report surfaced on Facebook, falsely claiming drugs were involved. But it didn't stop there. The CBS confirmed team, along with police, verified more fake posts, including this Instagram screenshot of guns, further fueling anger and uncertainty.
We've got print, we've got online, we've got broadcast.
Dr. Chip Stewart, a journalism professor at TCU, specializes in social media and free speech. He says the spread of disinformation online isn't new, but he says what Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, did just last week, he believes made it a whole lot worse.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Earlier this year, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced his company would end the use of fact checkers. Last Monday, all third-party fact checkers were officially removed from Facebook and Instagram. The platforms now rely on users to flag misinformation through a feature called Community Notes, similar to what Elon Musk's social media platform X uses.
I think that we were a lot better off as a culture and a society when Facebook, Twitter, now X, at least pretended to care about the truth and about not inflaming the spread of falsehoods on their platforms. They don't anymore. And they're pretty clear about that. At least they're honest about that.
The disinformation online about the Frisco stabbing has had real consequences. Both the victim and the suspect's family have had their home addresses posted online and have received threats. Even on Saturday, at the funeral of Austin Metcalf, extra security was on hand because of what had been posted online.
While most of the misinformation posted online is not a crime, impersonating a police officer is. The Frisco Police Department, along with the FBI, are investigating who's behind that X account that was posing as the Frisco police chief. But Doug, Nicole, the reality is catching someone who posts misinformation online is tough. People post anonymously, things spread quickly, and oftentimes the original post is edited or deleted long before someone actually figures out.
So yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy that number one, they've taken the fact checking off of these apps, right? It's crazy, but it's not surprising, right? I'm not surprised, but that's nuts. But it's also crazy because you see how all of that information, that misinformation is put out there. Just something for y'all to think about, right? The old folks used to say a lie done made it around the world twice before the truth even gets out of bed and put his socks on. Just keep that in mind, right? You got to search and dig for yourself, man, and really find the truth because it's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Know the difference. Misinformation is just facts that are out there, man, that are wrong. Disinformation is intentionally feeding people wrong information because you now have an ulterior motive and you have an agenda. And we see that's what's going on. A lot of these sites, man, X, Facebook, Instagram, you have to take a lot of that stuff with a grain of salt. Don't just stop at what you see and what you read. Actually get into the weeds. You dig what I'm saying? That's where putting on your reading glasses, putting on your thinking cap, thinking critically, making sure that you lead with logic. You dig? And find what the truth is. Something else I want to show you guys. It's a little bit more before I let you guys get out of here. I don't want to hold you too long. I want to show you the effects, what happens when that information is put out there. I think I told you guys, the judge who lowered the bond, the judge that's presiding over the Karmelo Anthony case, had to hire a security team, right? I showed y'all the I showed y'all what's going on, Ice Cold. I showed y'all the article that talked about how, you know, Karmelo Anthony had to be moved. He's not at his home anymore. They were doing things like making false food deliveries. They were circling his home. You know, they were threatening him. They had sent him Austin Metcalf's obituary, things of that nature. Yeah. 8 p.m. Georgia time, right? Eastern Standard Time. That's my bad, Ice Cold. But yeah, so this is what happens when people don't believe in due process, when people don't believe in justice, when people are intentionally spreading misinformation. This is what goes down.
Or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds. Employer's address has been put on all social media investigation from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. And their amplification put my family in danger about us, especially over the past harassed and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a two-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
That's crazy. That was crazy. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, damn, this is hard to watch. This is real hard to watch. Super hard, super hard. Super hard to watch. But like I was saying, that's what happens when misinformation and disinformation is put out there. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, that's what happens. So it's wild. It's wild. But I want to bring you guys that, man. I wanted to bring you guys that because again, like in the OJ Simpson trial, who is she? Yeah, that was his mom, Ice. That was Carmelo's mom. That was a press conference that they had. That was the press conference that Alex Metcalf's father showed up at and had to be removed from. Right? I don't know if y'all saw that in the news. His dad showed up with the glasses on, who didn't say a word, but his very presence being there made it hostile because I want to say that I heard somewhere, I could be wrong, but I heard somewhere where they were supposed to stay away from each other. The families were supposed to stay from each other. It makes sense if it's not, but they were supposed to stay away from each other. And by him showing up, the guy who was not a lawyer, who never said he was a lawyer, he's an activist who was helping out, who was trying to, because obviously they need protection because you heard what she said. You heard what Carmelo's mom said. The address has been leaked. Her husband's former employer address has been leaked. Right? They've been getting death threats. Their family has been intimidated, and it's happening on both sides. Right? This is happening to the Metcalf and to the Anthony family, but we just got to see it in real time. Right? So yeah, it's crazy. It's very crazy. But man, I wanted to come on here because again, I saw a whole lot and I'm hearing a whole lot and I've been reading a whole lot. And I want to leave y'all with this. Number one, again, for the people saying that has made it racial, right? You've got black conservatives saying that black folks have made it racial. You got white right wingers conservatives saying that they've made it racial. Listen, what I would say is go read history, man. Go do your homework. Yeah. Court order for no contact for any. There you go. That's right, Ice. That's right. That's right. And he violated that. So they had to put him out of there. As they should have, man. It could have gotten real ugly because it's already ugly up underneath the surface, not at just the cultural level, but obviously individually, specifically those two families and the judge. And like she said, all the judge, everybody surrounding this case has been getting harassed, right? But again, for those people who saying that one side or the other have made this racial, go do some history homework. Go read. Go look into who America is. It's been a racial. This has been, what did Malcolm say? This is a powder keg. That's how he described it. He said this is a powder keg and it's waiting to explode. Right? It's been racial. It's been racial. And like I read to y'all in that article, you kidding yourself if you think it's not. You kidding yourself. And it's thoroughly Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, right? Racial. Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, racial. Right? Yeah, the tension is super thick. And it's always going to be thick. Expect it to be thick in America. Anytime it's white and black, it's going to be lines divided. Expect it. I am not the mayor. I'm just a player. I'm a player. I'm not the mayor. These are the rules that are before me. I'm just describing them. Hey, listen, everybody deserves due process. How about we give this young man due process? Because whatever, we don't even have all the facts yet, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know whether he did it, whether it was self-defense or whether it wasn't. Like the lawyer said, they'll have to prove appropriate force. Right. I read to you guys escalation and what that was. I read to you guys how, you don't have to be the first, you don't have to be the first one. If someone says something threatening to you, uh, you don't have to be the first one to attack. But from what has been put out there, the young man did put his hands on Carmelo Anthony first. So he will have to now argue whether it was appropriate to use deadly force, whether he absolutely feared for his life, what was going on. That is yet to be determined. But how about we let it be determined? How about we resist the temptation to lead with our emotions and we succumb to leading with logic? Right? How about we lead with logic and see this thing out from an objective stance and viewpoint? And again, hey man, like OJ Simpson, you know what I mean? Like we have to what I've seen in America, whenever it's a case like this, it is always going to be in the OJ Simpson vein, right? It's always going to be black against white. And that's what I was going to say. Watch how people frame. Pay attention to how people frame anything, because the framing is typically they're telling you without telling you what side they lean on, the just or the unjust, just in how they frame it. Because you are in your framing, you are in control about how much context you put in there. That's up to you. That's all up to you. You can either see a man, you can see an event, a man who is desperately trying to feed his family, so he's going through looking for food through garbage, or you can see a perpetrator pillaging, right? A perpetrator who is, pillaging the area, looking to kill, steal, and destroy anything to feed himself. It's all in how you frame it. So pay attention to how you frame this thing and how it's framed in the media, because the media is a strong arm. They're one of the strongest arms that's making it racial. They're part of the problem that people say is originating with black people, or what I've heard. Check that media, because how they are reporting this, how some of these outlets are talking about it. Hey, listen, they're contributing to the madness, to the chaos. Stop the madness. But listen, man, that's all my time, man. I appreciate y'all. People coming in here, man. I see my man Ice Cold. I appreciate you. Who else came in here? I think that's Rico. Rico, I see you, big bro. Yeah, I got nothing but love for you, big dog. My man Askia the Great, the General, and Free. Hey, man, I appreciate all of y'all, man, coming through and rocking out with your boy. Like I said, man, I got another great interview coming up. I try to get entrepreneurs on here, man. If y'all know of any entrepreneurs, man, who are doing anything out into the community, man, offering any services, hey, man, send them my way. If you got my number, if you got my line, hit me up, man. Send them my way so that we can get them on and get them in front of the people, so that the people can patronize and keep that economy going, and supporting local business, mom and pop, because that's the way a lot of us are going to find and see our freedom that we desire, right? That's a lot of our American dream. So listen, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Look, may we all meet again in the light of understanding, peace and love, and y'all stay up, man. Until the next time.